What's up, everyone, and happy Sunday. Earnings season has finally kicked off, and we're just now getting into some of the juicier earnings. And I wanted to make a quick video to show you guys all the earnings that are on deck for next week and to go over some of the top companies that I'm keeping my eyes on for maybe possible dip buying opportunities, and also to see what they're guiding for their future. Just companies that I personally like. So if you like content like this, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. All right, so here are all the earnings on deck for Monday. Feel free to take a screenshot. But when it comes to stocks that I'm watching, obviously Netflix is a big one. They've been pretty strong lately, and that's one that I would love to buy the dip on, but it just never dips. It just never falls. And there was one time where it did. I took a small trade on it, made a little bit of money, and honestly, this is a stock that's probably more like a buy and hold. And yeah, so obviously if, some bad sentiment came out, bad earnings report, and this thing, briefly took a breather, this is one I just want to keep my eyes on. And then other than that, Tesla reaching all-time highs. That's another one I'm looking at. Not one that I would buy though, but I will go over the charts on the three that I'm watching right now, just to show you some key levels that I'm looking at. And then Intel is another one that I'm looking at. So obviously Intel came out and they've been, introducing new partnerships with AMD and Nvidia, and it seems like they're finally getting out of their slump, which is pretty interesting. And they also have government backing. This might be a good stock to, do an in-depth analysis on. But it seems like maybe their turnaround story is starting. And even though the stock is up a ton right now, it still has a long ways to go before it reaches levels that it was previously at, right? I mean, it's literally just been in a huge slump. But nonetheless, definitely an interesting stock. And now I will move this for you guys real quick just so you can see this last company over here, which is just P&G. Again, nothing that really super excites me. But those, again, are the earnings on deck for next week. So take note of that. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the charts real quick just to cover, again, the ones that I'm the most interested in. And starting with Netflix, zooming out to the daily chart, again, this thing it never really pulls back. I think it's safe to say that if this stock does pull back to the 200-day moving average, which is what that yellow line is on the daily, that's probably not a bad time to start accumulating some shares just based off of, previous patterns. It very, very rarely ever, drops below that moving average on the daily. We did one time, right? Back in 2023. So not to say that it can't happen again, but those are the levels I'm keeping my eyes on for Netflix. So now jumping over to Tesla, you can see that we are now approaching all-time highs. I mean, we're testing all-time highs right now pretty much. We did wick up here real quick and then gave it back pretty quickly, but it seems like the support or resistance is building right here. So, depending on earnings, man, could this thing break out? In my opinion, no. I mean, I see a double top forming here. It seems to me Tesla is very, very volatile, and at the end of the day, they do have a ton of forward-looking, segments in their business that are growing but aren't showing revenue yet, right? Like their robotic segment, obviously, their self-driving cars or taxis, robo-taxis, like all these things, could make this company valued way more, and that is why it does trade at a huge premium. And we were trading at a 327 forward price to earnings. That is insane. Okay, like that is high, but that's because they're pricing the future end for the company. But nonetheless, I do not chase companies. You will not see me buying Tesla at these levels hoping that it goes higher. But if it does pull back to the 200-day moving average, same as Netflix, or, I would like to see this get a little bit deeper, back down to where I have this support line drawn. Actually, to get back down there might be a little tough sledding, but, anywhere between this support line to $300, I like this level. I would say this, let me put this line up here. This would be like my buy box up here. anywhere in here. If Tesla were to drop back down into this level, I'm buying for sure. So moving on to the next one, and that is Intel, right? Another one that has just been on a ripper. Looking at the daily, I mean, this thing bottomed down at 19 bucks at one point, and we are up 100%. Insane moves, and that is based off of, the news that came out. Again, I typically do not chase stocks. This is one of question though, just because of the news that has came out. But this is just a little too much for me to chase at this point. So as always, I typically like to look for a pullback, a retest, and then get in, right? So I would love to see this stock pull down to, again, we don't know how far we're gonna go, but back down to this to fill this gap. Let's say that. Like, that's what I'm thinking, right? Back down to this support level right around here. Let me draw a line real quick. So I'm thinking, boom, like right around here. I'll obviously, right? That's huge declines. Let's be honest, this stock's probably not going down this far. If it did, like, I'm definitely buying. I don't know. Then again, 27%. That's not not impossible, especially if we have a market downturn. But nonetheless, these are the three levels that I'm looking at for these stocks. And when it comes to all three of these stocks, they both are overbought in my opinion at this point, and you'd be chasing if you decided to get in before earnings. I would not recommend taking a position on these companies before earnings, and if you did, maybe do like a half a size, half of your position size, and then after earnings, do the other half. God forbid it falls, you have more to average down, and if it does go up, you can wait for a little pullback, add more, but at least you're a little more confident about the future at that point. But nonetheless, that's all I have for you guys in this one. I just wanted to get on here and give you guys an update of the earnings for next week, what my thoughts are, and some of the stocks that I'm watching. And I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.